Used boat prices are falling off a cliff, and not slowly. We're talking steep, sudden drops that have sellers sweating and buyers circling like sharks. Boats that were listed for 150 grand last year are now sitting at 95 and still not moving. This isn't a dip. This is a full-on market unraveling. Brokers are trying to keep things quiet. Sellers are slashing prices behind the scenes. But the writing's on the wall. The market is overbuilt, overpriced, and overhyped. And now, it's cracking under its own weight. If you're looking to buy, sell, or just figure out what your boat is worth, you need to understand what's really going on. Because this isn't just about cheaper boats, it's about the future of sailing, the shift in who gets to live this lifestyle, and whether your dream is about to get easier or a hell of a lot harder. Here's what falling used boat prices actually mean for you, and why no one in the industry wants to talk about it. Right now, this very moment, is one of the best times in years to buy a used sailboat. Prices are softening, inventory is climbing, and sellers are starting to accept the hard truth. The market isn't what it used to be. Boats that would have sold in days a year or two ago are now sitting for months, sometimes longer, and every week they sit. Their asking prices inch downward. This is the buyer's window, and if you've been waiting, watching, and saving, your moment has arrived. The beauty of this shift is simple. Sellers are losing leverage. Boats that were listed for over $100,000 are now being offered for under $80,000. Some are taking offers that are 20, 30, even 50% below the original ask. The desperation is real, and if you come prepared, with cash in hand, a surveyor lined up, and the ability to move fast, you can land a serious deal. And it's not just the old, neglected projects that are up for grabs. Solid coastal cruisers, blue water-ready boats, even well-maintained liveaboards are popping up at numbers we haven't seen in years. The sweet spot? Boats in the 35 to 45-foot range between 15 and 30 years old, the ones that were overpriced for way too long and are finally starting to come back to earth. But here's the catch. This window won't stay open forever. Eventually, inventory will thin. Motivated sellers will sell. The bargains will dry up, and the market will settle at a new, more realistic baseline. Still better than the fantasy prices of recent years, but not as ripe as it is right now. And if interest rates drop or demand ticks up again, buyers could find themselves back on the losing end of negotiations. So if you're serious, don't sit on your hands. Do your homework, get prepped, and start making offers. Find the tired listings, the boats that have been on the hard too long, the owners who are ready to move on. This is your moment, but it's only a moment. Use it, or watch it slip away like a boat on the tide. If you want to know how bad the used boat market has gotten, just talk to a seller, especially one who's been trying to move their boat for 6 months or more. The optimism's gone. The pride is fading. Now, it's all about unloading before the market drops even further. And they're right to be nervous, because the numbers aren't in their favor. Thousands of boats are sitting on the market, not moving, marinas are full, broker listings are getting stale, and the longer a boat sits, the lower the offers go. Sellers are learning the hard way that just because you think your boat is worth a certain amount doesn't mean anyone's going to pay it. This panic isn't always loud, it's quiet, creeping. You see it in the little things. The sudden $10,000 price drop after months of silence. The seller finally throwing in extras, dinghy, outboard, electronics, just to sweeten the deal. The urgent messages on forums. Any serious buyers out there? Price negotiable, make an offer. Some are even walking away from boats entirely, especially aging liveaboards or project boats in rough shape. They can't sell them, they can't afford to keep them, and now the yard fees are stacking up. For them, the panic turns into financial pressure, and for buyers, that's leverage. But here's the darker side. Sellers who refuse to adjust. Boats that just sit, rotting, priced out of reach. Owners clinging to fantasy numbers while their boats quietly die in slips or on the hard. You'll see listings that haven't changed in a year, unchanged prices, outdated photos, no movement. These boats become ghost ships, still floating, but going nowhere. The panic isn't just about losing money. It's about the emotional weight of realizing the dream is over, that the boat you poured your life into is now just a financial liability, that the market moved on and you missed the top. So yes, sellers are panicking, and in that panic, there's opportunity. For buyers, it's a chance to finally take the helm. For sellers, it's a moment to face reality, or keep sinking into denial, one unpaid yard bill at a time. The falling value of used boats isn't just shaking up the market, it's reshaping how people plan their cruising lives. Sailors who thought they'd sell their boat after a few years afloat and recoup most of the cost They're waking up to a hard truth. Those resale dreams are dead. That shift is forcing a lot of folks to make serious decisions. Some are delaying their plans entirely. Others are downsizing or ditching the idea of ever buying new. And plenty are rethinking how long they can cruise, how much they'll spend, and where they'll go. If your 5-year cruising plan relied on selling the boat at the end to fund your return to land life, that plan needs adjusting. Boats that were once considered safe investments are now depreciating faster than anyone expected. Buyers are scarce, offers are low, and when you factor in maintenance, upgrades, and marina fees, the cost of ownership hits harder than ever. That's why more people are leaning into older boats and committing long-term. If you can't count on a big payday when it's over, you might as well keep the boat and make it last. We're seeing a growing number of sailors choosing to refit instead of replace, staying in the same boat longer, and learning to live with imperfections instead of upgrading every few years. Another change: more cruisers are avoiding expensive cruising grounds. Instead of paying marina rates in the Med or the Caribbean, they're staying on anchor, exploring less popular routes, or choosing regions where the cost of living is lower. Because when boat value drops, every dollar counts. And then there's the emotional side, the gut check. Watching your boat lose value makes you question every decision. Every repair, every upgrade, every new toy for the boat becomes a debate. Is it worth it? Will I ever see that money again? It creates a kind of hesitation that sucks the joy out of what used to be a wide-open dream. So, yeah, the cruising lifestyle is shifting. It's becoming more cautious, more calculated, and, in some ways, more real. And maybe that's not all bad, but one thing's for sure: nobody's planning the same way they were a few years ago. With used boat prices dropping, it's tempting to pounce on what looks like a killer deal. $20,000 for a 40-foot cruiser? Sounds like a dream, right? But here's the thing: there's a difference between cheap and affordable, and some of these cheap boats will sink your bank account faster than they'll ever float your dreams. The biggest risk? Deferred maintenance. Boats sitting in yards for years don't just wait quietly, they rot. Seacocks freeze, deck cores soak, rigging corrodes, engines seize. What looks like a bargain might actually be a financial trap, with tens of thousands in hidden repairs hiding behind a shiny paint job or a low asking price. And it's not just old boats. Newer ones that were neglected, lightly damaged, or owned by people who didn't know what they were doing can be just as dangerous. The cheap price might be because it needs a full rig replacement, new sails, rewiring, or structural work you won't notice until you're 2 weeks into a cruise and something fails offshore. Then there's the issue of documentation and legality. Some cheap boats are unregistered, carry unresolved liens, or have shady ownership histories. If you buy in haste and skip a proper title check or survey, you could end up fighting a legal mess instead of sailing away. Surveys matter more now than ever. Don't just trust the seller's word or a few photos. Hire a marine surveyor, crawl through the boat, check every inch, pay for oil analysis, rig inspections, moisture readings. It might cost a bit up front, but it could save you from buying a nightmare with sales. Also, be honest with yourself about skills and time. Buying a fixer-upper might sound romantic, but if you're not mechanically inclined or don't have months or years to spare, the deal will become a burden fast. Time spent fixing is time not sailing. And if you burn out halfway through a refit, you'll just end up selling the boat at a loss, like the person you bought it from. Cheap boats aren't always bad, but they're never simple. And in a falling market, the risks get bigger because desperation hides a lot of sins. The deals are out there. Sure, Doug, just make damn sure you know what you're really buying. What does the collapsing used boat market really say about the future of sailing? Honestly, a lot, and not all of it's good. For decades, sailing was seen as a way to escape, a path to freedom that didn't require being rich, just being resourceful. You could buy a sturdy old boat, put in the work, and point your bow at the horizon. That version of the dream still exists, but the path to it is getting narrower. The fall in used boat prices shows that a massive shift is happening. The traditional boating public, older sailors with aging boats, are offloading their vessels, often at a loss, and not enough new blood is coming in to replace them. The younger generation, they're looking at the costs and thinking twice. Slip fees, insurance, maintenance, haul-outs, gear, repairs. It's not just the purchase price, it's the constant drain that follows. And the industry? It's not helping. Boat shows and manufacturers are leaning harder than ever into the luxury market. They're chasing buyers who want floating condos with push-button everything. The practical, affordable cruisers that used to serve as entry points for aspiring sailors, they've all but vanished. Builders aren't designing boats for adventure anymore. They're building for charter fleets, Instagram feeds, and upper-class hobbies. That means the real, hands-on DIY cruising life is becoming less visible and harder to get into, and that's dangerous for the culture of sailing itself. If all newcomers see our massive price tags and over-polished marketing, they assume the dream's dead before they even start. They don't see the scrappy liveaboards, the solo sailors fixing boats in the yard, the folks living well on modest means. That side of sailing is being drowned out. But here's the hopeful part. The core of this lifestyle is still alive. The ocean doesn't care what you sail. And for every bloated new build sitting in a showroom, there's a tired, trustworthy hull out there waiting for someone to believe in it again. The future of sailing doesn't have to be luxury-focused. It can be skill-based, grit-based, community-based. We're already seeing signs of that future. More sailors sharing knowledge online, more people embracing small boats, alternative designs, and minimalist cruising. More folks rejecting the consumerist model and turning toward simplicity and self-sufficiency. That's the future worth building. But it's going to take a shift in mindset from both dreamers and doers. You don't need the newest gear or the biggest boat. You need commitment, creativity, and the willingness to do things differently. Sailing's future isn't found in a catalog. It's built in boatyards, learned through scraped knuckles, and earned one nautical mile at a time. So yeah, the market is changing. The prices are crashing. But maybe that's just the shakeup we needed. Because if sailing's going to survive, it needs to get back to what really matters. The people who love the sea, not just the ones who can afford it. So, here we are. Used boat prices are dropping, the market's shaking loose, and the old rules don't apply anymore. For buyers, it's a rare chance. For sellers, it's a wake-up call. And for everyone in between, it's a reminder that the sailing life isn't about polished decks or perfect timing. It's about adapting, learning, and pushing forward when the winds shift. The future of sailing might not look like the glossy brochures or Instagram feeds. It might be rougher, messier, and more hands-on, but that's not a bad thing. That's how real sailors have always done it. So if you've been waiting for the right time to jump in, this might just be it. Not because it's easy, but because it's possible. And out here, possible is more than enough. Fair winds, steady hands, and I'll see you out there.